We're Bison! We are impacted! We're Bison! We're ready to get up! We want to win! Light the fire of power that make us free! We never break down! We want to win! We are impacted! The best team!
Hello and welcome back to episode 38 of Impacted, coming to you live via the Total Nonstop Impact Network on YouTube and Twitch. I'm your host Bison. Today I'm joined by the TNI-UK team of Simply Steve and the Joe-ker. Hello chaps, how are we doing?
How you doing?
Doing good?
I'm doing good.
Fantastic. How about yourself, Steve? You had a good week, mate?
Yep, we're doing good this week. Cheers, bud.
Fantastic. And I can see we've already started being joined by quite a few people in the chat, so I'm glad to see that. Fantastic. Now, at this point, can I just ask everybody who's in the chat to give us a quick thumbs up? Get it over and done with. Get it out of the way. Give us a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Give it a good hit. And then, of course, give the bell a tickle. We do like giving that bell a good tickle. To never miss a great content coming out each and every week from TNI-UK and, of course, the US teams. Now, today, we have a very, very special guest. She is the host of See You Next Tuesday. She is a wrestling manager and a pro wrestler herself. The one and only Jade Chung.
I have to give a shout out.
You've got to give Trent a shout out. Hey Jade,
Hi,
it's
guys.
absolutely fantastic to see you today.
How you doing?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh mate, it's the pleasure's all ours. It's absolutely fantastic to see you. You know, I know it's been a little bit of an awkward time of day for you over there in Canada, so we do appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. Now, go on. Sorry.
Sorry, now as long as you guys are okay, in case Jet does make an appearance, he's all set up right now upstairs with his big brother, so he might be distracted for the entire thing. Who knows?
Who knows? But to be fair, you know, we're happy for Jet to come on and say hello. We definitely are. Only last week, my daughter Boomer Bison came on and spoke to the lads and the chat went crazy for us. So I bet they would go crazy for Jet as well. So I think it'd be great. Now, Jay, we've recently had a really great response to having you on today. I mean, the guys have been going crazy. The TNI tribe have been all over it. But I think it would be great if you could first give us all some info, basically on your most recent venture, and that's the See You Next Tuesday podcast, where we can find it and, what we can expect, the content that you're putting out. I've recently listened to a couple of interviews with Scott DeMore and Havoc, but the content is a little bit different. I feel most podcasts, I think, especially the subjects that you discussed. I mean, the recent one with Havoc about kind of like body types and that kind of stuff, I think was really, really interesting. What can you tell us about your podcast?
Well, thank you. Yes, my podcast is called See You Next Tuesday, and funny fact, my husband was the one that named it. So I absolutely hate the word, and he knows not to ever say it around me, and he knows that if someone does say it, he kind of just looks at me and like just stops breathing. But when I was thinking of a name, he just said it out loud, and I laughed and I said, well, that's perfect. It's just a little inside joke between Josh and I, which is cute, of course. But yeah, so I don't actually like to talk a lot about wrestling on my podcast. I love to hit topics that are different, and I love to bring my friends on. So not only personal friends, but also wrestling friends, just talking about different topics. Topics that I've hit were depression, mental illness, body types, as you had mentioned, and Havoc was just amazing to have on. I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely love her. She's such a beautiful and kind person. And yes, and just wanting other wrestlers coming on and telling, their own stories, their different stories, and not so much as their, road to being a wrestler and such, but just try to hit on their personal life a little bit, but more of the fun side and,
Exactly.
other aspects.
And as Jade mentioned, obviously her husband is actually the current Impact X Division champion, the incredible Josh Alexander. And I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning that, because obviously,
Of course not.
I know that Jade obviously is probably Josh's biggest fan, next to me, of course, and the rest of the boys here. So that's who she's talking about there, Josh Alexander. So that's good. Now, at this point, I just want to ask if anyone in the chat has a question for Jade, just pop it in the chat, and if we get time a little bit later on, we'll pop it up and we'll read it to her, or she can read it and answer those questions. But I tell you what, I know that currently, as it stands at the moment, I think the boys have got a couple of questions for Jade. So I'm gonna head straight over to Joe and say, Joe, what sort of question have you got for Jade?
All right, well, first of all, thanks for joining us, Jade. I really do appreciate it. We've spoken once or twice online. So thanks for all your support and everything. My main question is a return to pro wrestling something you're still looking forward to in the future, given now that you've got 2 kids to look after? And if so, would Impact Wrestling be a preferred option just to kickstart your career again, if that's the right terminology to use?
So actually, my latest episode of my podcast that dropped yesterday, my internet was down. So it caused me to cancel with my guest that I had planned. And Josh said, you know what, how about I interview you? So right off the, just out of the wind, we decided to do this podcast. And that was one of the questions that he asked me. And it's funny because he has asked me loosely, like just on everyday life.
Yeah.
But it hits different when it's just me, him, and a microphone. you really think about it, because the kids are running around, and I always say, well, you never say never, and that's so cliche, never say never. But I never left pro wrestling. I still love it. I still have a passion for it, and my podcast is a way for me to stay in wrestling, kind of. So stay talking about wrestling a little bit, but also keeping in contact with other wrestlers. But I don't know. It's so hard to say. Jet will be in school in 1.5 years, so that kind of eases stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
I of course do want to come back. Would it be Impact Wrestling? I mean, doesn't everybody want to go to Impact Wrestling? So, if I do get back, I would just do what I did when I was in the business before, just kind of go where it takes me.
Yeah, that's. I thought I'd go with the cliche choice and say, would Impact Wrestling be the most fun? But my brain's a bit fried at the moment because I've been looking after a puppy we got last week. So I just went with the simplest question I could. But I watched your podcast you did with Jet for his birthday, and I love that so much. Just I could see there that there was that that drive and that passion to keep him involved in wrestling was there too with just that. And of course I saw your reaction to when Josh Alexander won the X Division title as well. That was just incredible, so I can see that spark is there. I just wanted to know, is it a possibility? Could we see you in the ring soon? And hopefully and it looks like the answer to that is a definite yes. And I got my fingers crossed for you.
Thank you, Joe.
I think that would be amazing. I mean, the thing is, there's so many roles that you can do in wrestling these days. I mean, it doesn't necessarily need to get actually physically into the ring. You don't necessarily have to get physical, but you could certainly take on, because in the past you've done manager roles and that type of thing, haven't you? So there's no reason why you couldn't get into the character side of it, even if you weren't necessarily able to commit to getting inside the ring, if that makes sense. So I'm sure there's definitely a role there for you. Now, just before I get to Steve, now we've had a little question pop up from Mark, who is actually from TNI himself. We're just going to pop that question up for you, Jade. So what we got there, we've got, do you feel that wrestling is safer place for women now than it's been in the past in terms of companies ensuring positive environments for women? How do you feel about that?
I for sure think it has definitely evolved. I think we can't dismiss that some people may have little attitudes. I don't want to talk about women as like a whole thing. It's hard to say. I don't know. And maybe it's just me coming up from a completely different era where I only had to look out for myself. But for right now, I am loving the women's, revolution and division, but women are a lot more powerful right now, I think. So I think it's a safe environment. If we're talking about like male, female, I think girls are more, what's the word? Girls are more confident to stick up for themselves now. And I think it's just because we're seeing women's wrestling everywhere now. Let it be AEW, WWE, NXT, Impact, like it's everywhere. So it's nice. Yeah, I think it's safe.
Okay.
A lot of the time it's put on equal level as well, isn't it, nowadays?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, for me, I know that Mark is a huge fan of women's wrestling, and I think it's come so far in the last sort of kind of 10, 15 years. A lot of it pushed with regards, to, the Impact or the TNA at the time, Knockouts division, which is obviously moved now into the Impact Knockouts division. And we could still say today that they've consistently been a leader in pushing women's wrestling, and that's one of the things that as a fan, for me, I'm sort of most proud of, because I could say to somebody, Knockouts division, second to none, mate. You know what I mean? That's the way I feel about it. Fantastic division. That's a great question, Mark. Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Steve, you've got a question for Jade, haven't you?
Yeah, and mine was sort of like elaborating a little bit on what Joe was saying, but sort of maybe going in a different direction. Was like, we've seen the appearance of BTI turn up, and there's been rumours of maybe over the few years different sort of programs and different directions that Impact may be going with, different shows and that. Would you maybe see yourself going into like a presenter role, or sort of, if they did make a knockout show, maybe being the host of the knockouts show or something, or being an interviewer or anything in that kind of role, appearing on Impact in that kind of role?
So it's funny because Bison, you had mentioned, nowadays you can have so many roles in wrestling, and like I said, I started this podcast to stay in with wrestling and have that little bit of like hold on to it. And of course, I would love any position and be able to just talk about wrestling still. I did host Impact Plus Playback with my husband, Josh. It went on for, I think, almost 2 years with us, but and that was over Twitch. So we always streamed live for Twitch for a couple hours. We would watch old TNA Impact shows, pay-per-views, and just chit chat with everybody, and it was such a good time. I would definitely love to do that again. It was our little date night every Wednesday for Josh and I, for us to go to the studio, which was an hour away, and it was nice to have that little time with ourselves, even though we were like working.
Yeah, that's good. That makes a lot of sense. Now, the thing, there's a question. Somebody Twans Rucker. Now I don't know. I've not seen you before, my friend. So thank you
That's
for
my
joining us.
girl. That's my
Yeah.
girl.
Okay.
Fun.
Okay. There you go. So she's got a question for you. So she's saying, "Hello, Jade. You have done podcasts with Jet and Josh. Will we see them in the future do a joint podcast with you?"
That's a good question. You know what? The only problem, which I think Jet is now, but
Okay. Okay. So I think we just lost her there for a second. I'm sure trying to get her back, but so far I think we're doing very well. She's definitely happy to answer all the questions that we're throwing at her, which is fantastic. Oh, she's back.
oh,
She's back.
Oh,
can you hear
we
me?
got her.
We
Yeah.
can hear
Yeah.
you. We
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. Oh no!
Oh, no.
Gone completely. Anyway, I'm sure Trent will be working hard in the background to bring her back. So thanks for the questions so far, guys, and thank you to Twans Rucker for joining us. Obviously, I'm not sure if this is the first time, but please make sure you give us a subscribe and tickle the bell there to make sure you never miss any of our future content. Sorry, Jade is back.
I
She
am
can now
so
answer your
sorry.
question. It's
No,
not a problem.
don't apologize. It's fine.
I just got this iPhone, and sorry for our other iPhone users, but I absolutely hate it. I was an Android user, and apparently calls will still pop up even though you're on Do Not Disturb. So I apologize. Going back to Twans's question, Jet. So when I did my interview with Jet, he ran off, and I wasn't worried because Josh was downstairs, and so he went downstairs, and I'm not worried. I think it would be fun to see. I think you would mostly see Jet climbing on either one of us. He loves to climb up on our shoulders and then jump off. So I don't know. I don't know if people get kind of annoyed by it. I don't know if people aren't like, I don't know if people don't like kids and so they're not going to tune into it. I don't know. I guess it's just like a little feeler, but I would love to always include my family into my podcast, but it's up to the listeners. If it's, I get so nervous. I don't know why. I just don't want to.
The trouble is with the trouble. They always say, don't they? Never work with kids and animals because they're so unpredictable. However, you're always going to get that sort of kind of cute factor. Everybody loves it. I mean, like I was telling you earlier, last week we had my daughter on, and the chat, the audience went crazy for her. So that was quite cool, to do that. I'm thinking of bringing Son of Bison on at some point to see whether anybody. Well, my son is 10 and my daughter is 8. So she came on. She's a big Daddy Bison fan, just like I'm sure Jet is a big. Well, we all know Jet's a massive Daddy fan, don't we? Daddy.
Yeah.
So there you go. So and my daughter's saying, Dad, when I grow up, I want to have a podcast. So I think we'll probably get her on a little bit later. Who knows? You might see her grow on the channel. Who knows?
We should have you should have your kids, and then I'll come back on with Jen, and then we get to
see where we go. Why not? Why
Let the
not?
kids
It'd be
lead
great.
it,
Yeah, exactly. But I'm gonna go back to something that you put out on your channel, and guys, I really, I cannot say enough. You need to get over to Jade's channel, Jade Chung 11 on YouTube. You need to subscribe. You give the, we always talk about tickling the bell. Give the bell a tickle, smash it, whatever it is that you want to do, all right, to make sure you don't miss any of her content, because trust me, it's worth it. Now, what I want to talk about.
Sorry, Bison. Can we all, since I missed it, can we all do the little tickle? Can I be included?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ready,
So
guys?
what we say is we say this. We say, make sure you hit the subscribe, and then you give the bell a little tickle.
I want to do this. I don't know if you guys are Friends fans.
Yes, that's
Okay.
That's where it crossed my mind.
I
beats everything.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I want to talk to you about the fact who actually did the video for this as well, because there was a video on there that you put on there. It was you versus Jet in the ring.
Yes. Yeah.
Right now, who was videoing that? Because it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely brilliant, and actually, it showed how good you actually are because it looked real. He was kicking your ass. Let's face the facts here. So, who was filming that?
It was my good friend Von Vertigo. He's actually made his way over to the UK right before the pandemic, so he has been over there. Amazing wrestler. Not only that, amazing behind the camera, and he's so creative. He's actually the mastermind behind Backyard Pro Wrestling. So I knew at first I was just going to do this as like me setting up a tripod in our spare room because that's where Jet usually wrestles me. We usually go to the spare room to wrestle. And when I really thought about it and I thought, you know what, I really want to turn this into something truly special and use it as a big shout out to wish him a happy 3rd birthday. And thought of Vaughn immediately. He's just amazing. And I'm so happy and so glad that I contacted him about this. And the poor guy, I thought it was just going to be a 2-hour thing, which it turned out to be 4 hours, but that's with like lunch breaks and stuff. But that's only because we filmed a little bit close to Jet's nap time. So near the middle of it, he started getting a little cranky and he just wanted to roam outside and stuff like that. So, you know, he was super patient. And I told him, I'm so sorry if you don't want to have kids after this.
Well, I thought it was a great video. Have you seen it, boys? Have you? I'm sure you have, Joe.
Yeah, it really, really cheered me up. I loved it, and then I went straight and watched your podcast afterwards with Jet straight afterwards, Jade. They were both really, really uplifting. So if anyone's feeling down, just check them out. From that's your day sorted, you'll be right as rain the next.
A little tidbit: when Jet came out, there was music playing right before he showed his face, and that's actually the music of Josh's independent song that he usually come out to in the independent scene. So for anyone who knew Josh before Impact would know that. And you know, I didn't want to use the Impact theme just in case.
Yeah, you didn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure they would give you a pass. I'm pretty sure they would. But so I mean, that for me that was one of the highlights as well. So, and now interestingly enough, now you don't see many interviews with Scott D'Amore. Now, one of your interviews recently was with Scott D'Amore, and I found this. I was actually decorating in my house at the time. I was painting my media wall, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to put a bit of Jade on. So I clicked on there, and the interview with Scott came up, and it was long. It was it was nearly 2 hours, I'm sure.
2.5, yeah, 2.5.
Right, okay, so it was 2.5 hours. Now you know, there was some interesting stuff that came out in that. I'm interested to know, did you record that all in one go, or was that over like several sessions?
No, that was all in one go. It was in one night.
Wow. I mean, were you drinking wine at the time, or
no?
No. Scott's got some interesting stories. I was really what one of the ones that I was really interested in and found fascinating was he was talking about like back in the day where kind of like, you know, when you're an upcoming wrestler, and I'm going to get to something with you in a second with this. So where he was talking about the way that, you know, you just didn't ask. So, you know, I don't know, he was talking about like WWE and stuff, and he would go in and he was working a WWE show or whatever, as a sort of kind of a young boy or whatever you call it. You know, the big sort of kind of taboo is taking photographs with the stars, you know, taking photographs with the big boys. And he sort of kind of like is, you know, now is almost, he's followed that all in his life, and he sort of kind of like regrets the fact that, you know, they weren't allowed to do that kind of thing, because the amount of guys that he'd sort of spent time with or met his heroes, he's got no sort of kind of record of any of that now. And that's sort of something I think that has changed now, because I don't think they're too bothered about that sort of thing. I'm just after a little story, maybe if you've got one, of the first time you came across, say, I don't know, someone that you would like, as a young wrestler, you've turned up to a show and you've turned around and there is someone that you've been admired and wanted to wrestle or something for years or something like that. Have you got any stories of any like meeting your hero or anything like that?
Oh, are we talking about like pictures or just like meeting in general?
Just generally. I mean, what they often, there's often a phrase that says, never meet your heroes because they'll always disappoint you. And I sometimes that is true, but on other sometimes it isn't. So I think I'd be more interested to find out on a positive one, maybe.
I mean,
if you had
it all
that
depends.
moment where you've met someone and then been like they're like in shock.
Yeah,
like, there they
yeah.
are.
Like Joe is with you.
Yeah.
Joe is with you. He's like, have you had that moment?
I think I did several times, but like Scott was saying back then, you couldn't act like a fan, right? So you couldn't mark out.
Yep.
So I didn't really have that, oh my God moment, because I always had to keep it down here. So I'm sorry, I don't really have a story. It's awful.
You don't?
No, not really, where I don't, like I never, honestly, I wanted to take pictures so bad. I love photos. Photos are just, they mean so much to me. And to tell you the truth, the first time I asked somebody for a photo was actually with Shane Douglas when he was down here for a show in Canada. And I hadn't seen him for years because I started off my career managing him for Scott D'Amore's promotion, BCW.
Yep.
And even then, like, I knew Shane and I still felt nervous and I felt stupid to ask him and felt foolish to ask him, even though we're in this day and age where social media is the biggest thing, so even then I felt it was just that era inside of me that just kept saying, nope, don't do it, don't ask. But it was actually Josh that said, don't be silly, like you're acting really dumb, just go ask him for a photo, he doesn't care, I'm sure. And Shane is the nicest guy. And so I actually sucked it up and I asked him for a photo because we actually started talking. And
you should have just said Josh. Josh is the first bloke.
Yeah, because Josh is gonna
that would have been what's interesting about all of this is that I've had a couple of moments where I've sort of like, I mean, when I went to a couple of tapings in the past, and I've come across some of the people that I've met. What's interesting is because of the like today's social media is such a huge thing, like you're saying there, and I know you're very big on social media. You're happy to document everything that goes on in your life, and I think that's fantastic because there's lots of people out there that want to know, who is Jade, what who is Josh, what are they really like, and to be fair, we're having a conversation with you now, and I know you're way more famous than I am. You know what I mean? And I'm a fan of yours. I like your podcast and everything else. And you're just a person. And sometimes I think you sort of kind of forget that with people. It's like, oh my God, I can't talk to them. They're just, they're going to think I'm a right idiot, or whatever, or they think I'm a, an absolute mark, as we all say, But I think these days with the importance of social media, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, your YouTubes, your Twitches, whatever it is that you're getting involved in, these days, especially when you're in the spotlight, especially when you're an up and coming inspired wrestler, or your I don't know, influencers or whatever it is that they call these days. I think social media is really, really important. It's a big part of creating that approachability. Do you find that when you go to shows, I'm not sure, when the last show you've been to, because obviously we know you're very busy mom now, and you do other things as well. But do you find that people are struggling to come and say hello to you, or is it fairly easy? No.
I think people still struggle. I know during my time when I was active, after talking to some people, they would say afterwards, "Wow, you're actually a really nice person." Because I always played the role of a heel, and so they would always say that. And same goes for Josh. Josh is still saying to this day, "Come on over, it's okay. Like, don't be scared." And while Josh obviously is a lot more scarier looking than I am, but he still gets that pretty often, and he's just like, don't be shy. I'm not gonna bite. Just come over, say hi.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting you say that, right? Because obviously I interviewed Josh probably about got to be 12 months ago now, I think.
Just over a year ago, I think. Just over a year.
Just over a year ago.
Yeah.
And when he first came on, before we started recording, he was quite intimidating. I must admit, he was quite intimidating. It wasn't until we started to sort of kind of talking, and we, once we got into the interview and everything, I started to realize that actually he's a real down-to-earth, nice guy.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with Josh offline, where he actually said to me, he said, you know what, he said, so many people when they first meet me find me to be a little bit standoffish, but I don't mean to be like that. It's just the way I am, kind of thing. But when you get to know me, I'm actually not that way at all. And I could attest to that, because ever since I've met Josh now, we talk all the time, and when I asked him about the buddies and all that kind of stuff, and could he send them because I can't get them, he was like, yeah man, I can sort all that out for you, don't worry about it, I'll get it out, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic, and that not everybody would be like that. Not everybody would be. They'd be like, well, there's nothing I can do about it, I'm afraid, sorry, So I think that for you, like coming on now, I think we're getting that. You're lovely.
Yeah.
Josh is lovely. Jet is lovely. So I think it's fantastic. Now, have we got any more questions coming in from the chat at all? Let me have a look. Gary's saying Josh and Jade are a great couple.
Sorry, Bison. If you can give me 2 seconds, I think
I will.
Jet
I will.
Is just calling me. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Okay.
No worries. So, guys, how cool is it to have to have Jade on with us today?
Fantastic, yeah.
A bit lost for words, to be honest. Going back to what you were saying just now about when you first talking to people, and just completely lost for words, and that's how I felt when I started talking to you when we did this whole podcast to begin with, as I'm pretty sure you can remember during the pilots.
Yeah.
And even now that sense of tension always comes up before we go on live now. So it's still something that's around this day and age. So it's just a natural response to most people. So, but I do think in today's professional wrestling scene, it definitely seems to be dying down a bit more. When I get responses and that and messages and that from like Cody Deaner or Eddie Edwards, I'm like, hey man, I'm hitting the roof. I'm so excited, because it's just like amazing to let these guys you're still marking out. Oh yeah!
Oh, look who's joining us! Hello, Jet.
Here. Want to say hi? This is
Hello, Jet. How are you, my friend?
Mr. Sheep.
No,
Right now, you want to listen?
No.
Can mommy listen too? No? Oh, okay.
He was being a little daredevil upstairs.
Was he?
And
Was he practicing some wrestling moves?
Oh, yes, he was actually with his brother on the bunk bed, and he decided to jump off the ladder. So
Wow.
he is
Wow.
clearly okay.
My God, I
Just-
think can you imagine it? Jet Alexander, the 2035 X Division champion.
There
Oh,
you go.
definitely. Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome, guys. Obviously, Jade has come back. If you have got any questions in the chat, please pose them. You know, she's happy to answer any of your questions. And of course, we've got Jet there as well. Now, I'm not sure whether he'll answer any questions, but you never know. Maybe Mummy, maybe if you've got a question for Jet, you want to pose it to her. Maybe Mummy Jade will ask him the question, and we
Yeah.
can see whether he'll give us an answer. So I have a question for Jet while we're waiting for anything to come in.
Oh,
Here we go. Are you ready? I've got a question for Jet. So, who is your favorite wrestler on the Impact roster?
Jet, who's your favorite Impact wrestler? Daddy Wrestling, he says.
There you go. Wow, what a surprise! How about your favorite? How
Daddy's not
about
in
your
there now.
favorite? How about your favorite lady wrestler?
Oh, who's your favorite girl wrestler? Girl. Daddy's a boy. Who's your favorite girl wrestler? Mommy's a girl. Mommy's a girl. Oh,
Yeah, I knew that was
Jet, what-
coming.
What's
Fantastic.
Mommy's wrestling name? Can you say it louder? Jade Chung. Jade Chung.
J-Chong, J-Chong. I love it. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Now, Trent has just popped a nice question in there, and he would like to know about Jade's time in Ring of Honor. How was the experience with Ring of Honor?
Oh my goodness. Oh, how do you explain just so much excitement? It was such a huge pleasure and honor to work with Prince Nana and Jimmy Rave. Prince Nana, working with him side by side, he is so amazing. I know he looked really awful and really mean, but the sweetest guy. Every little spot, whether it be, are you okay if I just tug on the leash, and he would always make sure that it was 1,000% okay with it. So everything that you saw that you probably hated him for and just thought, how could you, or say that's abuse, he checked with me every single time. And he always, and I will say this, he always felt bad doing it, but I always told him, this is beautiful what we're doing. So whatever creativity that you come up with, I will be game. I'm usually always game for anything, right? As long as it puts over the storyline and it makes all of us shine as a whole as well. And Jimmy Rave was another nice guy who, after stepping up on me at the end, in the back, he'd be like, "Hey, were you okay? I felt like I felt a little heavy there or something, like he felt like he stayed on top of me for like a split second more than he usually does." So it was wild. I loved it. I loved every single moment.
How long were you in Ring of Honor, Jade?
Oh, I was there for, oh my goodness, probably 8 months, I want to say. I think I started with them. If there's the first city I was in was Boston, and I want to say it was April. And then by the end of the year, I left to go to PWG. And that's when we did Final Battle, which is usually December-ish.
To be fair, that's pretty cool as well. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. That's a pretty cool promotion to work for as well. So how did you enjoy your time there?
Great. I've been very lucky with having amazing places to work for. Super lucky.
You have. Yeah, yeah. I mean, let's face the facts. I mean, you've got some pedigree, haven't you? You have got some wrestling pedigree, that's for sure. Okay, so I've got a question for you then, and I'm hoping that this is not going to be too personal for you, but how did you meet your husband, the X Division champion, Josh Alexander?
How did we meet? Well, if you were to ask him this question, I don't know, have you? Did you?
I haven't. No, I haven't.
Okay, so I'll answer for the both of us because they're completely different. If you were to ask Josh, he would say, well, the first time we met each other was in 2009 when I had my own sports bar. He came and he would tell you, yeah, she said hi to all my friends and just looked the other way when she looked at me. Now, I have a rebuttal for that. Okay. And we were just talking about this with Josh's resting bee face. Oh, mommy needs that, honey. Can you sit down for 1 second? Oh, okay. Snack. Say please. Please. Okay. He will. Oh no, we were talking about his resting bee face. Yeah. So I do remember it, and I do remember looking at him after saying hi because I always make eye contact when I say hi to people and shake their hands. The look on his face was just, he looked so rude. And so I was like, it's kind of like standoffish. So I'm like, this is not an inviting hello.
This is exactly what I said. It was exactly the same how I felt. Yeah.
So
he's a scary dude.
Fair, he is. But to be fair, I was so busy that night. I was doing the kitchen, I was doing the drinks, and I was doing the hosting and making sure that everyone was comfortable, and so I don't really want to count that, but Josh was the one to make the first move. This was over Twitter, so he was the one who slid into my DMs. I was trying to win this new BlackBerry through the Raptors, the Toronto Raptors basketball team. And they were doing this, have the tweet of the night and you'll win a BlackBerry. So I tweeted out, oh, I need help. And he DM'd me and he's like, oh, what do you need help with? Because he's a huge basketball fan. So he knows everything about basketball. And so he helped me. Not good enough because I didn't win a phone, but that's how we kind of started talking. It was that message. And then we didn't talk to each other for like 2.5, 3 weeks. And then the Raptors had that contest again. So I DM'd him again and asked him for another tweet. So I guess we could kind of thank the Raptors for
and Twitter by the sound of it.
and Twitter.
And Twitter. Yeah, definitely. Now, do you have any other questions for Jade, guys, or?
No, I thought you've asked the other one I had in mind. So, but I didn't want to ask us because I didn't want to get to anything too personal. But you've already asked that one for me, so I don't have much else sort of to add.
Okay, Steve, what about you?
The only one I had down was like maybe not necessarily relating to Jay, but given what you've seen in your time in the company, what would you say from all the stories we hear about how good Impact is doing right now? As someone who's there firsthand, what do you think Impact is doing correct right now that maybe 3-4 years ago they weren't?
Ooh, that's a tough one. We talked about how they have always focused on the knockouts. And they were the first promotion to really showcase the knockouts in a wrestling form, an actual wrestling form. I think they never had a problem with the knockouts. The knockouts division has always been amazing since their day one. I think just bringing in fresh talent. They kind of keep things, kind of groovy. I never use the word groovy. I don't know why I said it, but
we got it out of you.
I mean, it's a way of, styles. So nowadays there's a whole bunch of new wrestling styles out there. So I think with them signing people with all sorts of different styles and having it mixed up with, with everything. I think it's great. And I think for them to kind of build talent, like Josh, like nobody knew Josh when he signed. And I think building him up, like to me, that's like Impact thing. To me, that's like he would be the next AJ Styles, because when you think of AJ Styles, especially when he got signed from the WWE, when you think of Styles, you thought, oh, that's like TNA Impact Styles.
Yeah.
There was always that connection. And I feel that way with Josh, is because, he really made a name for himself. He works so hard, but people know him as Impact's Josh Alexander.
Yeah, I agree
think
with that.
with them building wrestlers up, as starting from fresh, I think that's what makes them different, and not and I'm not saying anything bad about anybody else, but I don't know, when people tend to leave a company, like, people will jump on it or something, and I think being able to build on a person that nobody has heard of before, like Josh is well known in Canada and some in the States too, obviously, but like not a lot of people watch the independents. Some people, and they're not like hardcore wrestling fans, but some people just watch what's on TV and stuff. So that's what I think.
Yeah, no, I think
I don't know.
I'm gonna. Can I add to that as well? Because what I think has been really good over the last sort of 2 or 3 years, a lot of people sort of kind of like jumped on them a little bit when they sort of started to clear out some of the old school and bring in new, fresh talent. It was almost like the roster had an overhaul. Because if you look at the roster now compared to what it was 3 years ago, I don't think, other than, I'm just trying to think, maybe Cody Deaner was around at that time. Obviously, Eddie, Rosemary,
Moose.
There's not
Fowler.
Yeah, maybe Moose. No, Fowler came in after. So I think there's only maybe about 4 or 5 from that roster back then that's on the roster now. And when you think about the way that they built those talents all the way, from where they've come to where they are now, and then not only that, they build them to such a point that up north wants them, AEW wants them, the top brands want these talents, right? And that's because they've been able to really learn how to work television with Impact Wrestling. I don't like to see them go, because all I really, these days my show is Impact Wrestling. That's it. And I watch some of the independent stuff. I catch up on AEW every now and again. I have zero interest in the WWE, as we all know. But I understand why these companies have so much interest in guys, and it wouldn't surprise me if when Josh's contract starts to come to an end, he's going to get offers all over the place. I hope he stays. I hope Anthem reverse the Brinkmax truck up and throws everything they can at him, because as far as I'm concerned, the guy's worth every penny, and he's the type of guy that you want to strap the world title on and go, off you go.
I've said he's triple crown material for a long time.
That that's my opinion. So but I can understand totally what Jade is saying. They invest in the character, and they invest in the talent of the individual. They see something and they build on it. They let them go with it. People like Kiera Hogan is a classic example of that from the Knockouts division. Look where she was 3 years ago when she came into Impact. Look where she is now. Like, she is amazing now. So you've got to they invest the time and they do what they need to do to make it happen. Totally with what Jay's saying. Totally 100%. Now, we've got another question in the chat there, and I think it's from Gary Rossetti, if I believe. Can we pop that one up, Trent, if you've got the time? There we go. It's a okay, so he wants to know, Jade, if you had a faction, if you're a leader of a faction on any wrestling show, doesn't matter where it is, who would be in your faction?
Ooh, that's a good question. See, I do something similar on my podcast, which I call it my Survivor Series game, where I have my guests choose 4 other, whether it be wrestlers or depending on what type of person that I was interviewing that night. So, like, if I was interviewing a comedian, I'd be like, what other comedians would you want on your squad? But it's tough. Oh my goodness. Okay. Should it be all wrestlers? I wonder.
What if we said you were the new leader of a Team Canada? That might make it a bit easier.
There you go. Okay. Faction. I definitely have to have Josh Alexander.
Of course.
Oh, let's see. Ooh, can I have Rhea Ripley on my team as well? I would like to have Candice LeRae.
Very nice. Yep.
I need more men. Ooh.
Cool. Think there's some amazing ones.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got one very good one in a faction right now in Impact.
Give me some examples. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking out.
Think of
I'm like, this is how my
Violent
guests
one,
feel when
the
I put them on the
violent
spot.
one in Impact.
The very, very violent man in Impact.
It's always time to give a.
There's another one. He's definitely always ready to go giver or giver or whatever you want to call it.
The violent one. Are we talking about Eric Young?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The violent one.
Yes. Okay, there.
So,
You'll have
Eric Young.
I'll
What
choose Eric
about
Young, yeah.
what about a classic like, I don't know, Bret Hart?
Oh yeah. Actually, you know what? I will say Shawn Michaels because
Yeah.
my brother was a fan of Bret, and then I like Shawn, so I'll say Shawn.
Shawn Michaels, that would be great. Yep. So we've got actually think about it. So you got Josh Alexander. You've got, I mean, would you pick Kenny?
Oh,
Kenny Omega? Yeah. That's a tough one.
Do I want them on the same team?
I want Josh to kick his ass, to be honest. But there you go.
Cash
I
in
mean, me
option
too,
C and
but
win the
I-
belt for him.
Yeah.
We don't need Kenny's help. He could go and stay with Don Callis. That's for sure. Yeah, you go and stay with the Winnipegs. What they call it, the Winnipeg Mafia, or whatever it is.
Winnipeg Mafia.
Yeah. So what about Chris Jericho? There's another one.
Oh gosh, you know what? I was
There is so many. Owen Hart.
Owen Hart.
There's a
Yes.
classic. Oh,
Yes.
Owen was an amazing. Gone way too soon, but what an amazing wrestler Owen was.
Oh.
Incredible. And you know what? I actually loved him as the Blue Blazer.
The blue-
Do you remember the Blue Blazer? I love the Blue Blazer. Absolutely did. I was cool. How old was I when I was loving the Blue Blazer? I must have been 18, 19-ish, I guess, when the Blue Blazer was giving it large. Love the Blue Blazer. To be fair, there has been some incredible talents from Canada. I mean,
we had Tyre for years.
Yeah.
Rosemary.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
Rosemary.
Tyre,
Yeah, Rosemary,
Yeah,
of course,
Rosemary's
is
Canadian.
Courtney Rush.
Yeah,
So-
she's Canadian, isn't she?
Yeah, I'm going to throw another one, and just a little plug here. What about Alexia Nicole,
Oh yes, I love Alexia. Oh, definitely.
the bubblegum
You
princess?
know what? She is so strong. She never gives up. This girl has had problems with her shoulder popping out, and she just, like, almost every match, I think she says, and every time she's just like that, and she's like, all right, like, she's so tough. She's so tough.
Yeah. She looks tough. She does look tough, doesn't she?
Yeah.
She had a
Pink
couple of
Folds in
really.
that too, can't he?
She's had a real good couple of showings as well on Impact.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
surprised
yeah,
that she's not been signed. I'm really surprised that she's
Yeah.
not been signed.
we've said often that we can't believe that she was she didn't get signed, because she was amazing. And I've always said as well, right, that I don't know whether you'd agree with this, Jade, because I know that you're friends with Taylor Wilde as well, aren't you?
I know her, yeah.
Yeah. So I've always said Alexia and Taylor Wilde would make an amazing tag team.
There was.
They would be an amazing tag team. And I've always said, Taylor would be the right person to bring in Alexia Nicole as like a protege, or kind of like that sort of thing. I think she would be fantastic. That'd be a great thing there. Now, I've just noticed, I think we've got a couple of other questions in the chat as well. What have we got? What is your favorite holiday movie, and who would you love to star in the holiday movie with you? And that's from that's not your friend again, Twans. What does that stand for? Is it? I've never heard that name before.
It's a beautiful, I love
unusual
names. Names.
Yeah, definitely. Well, here we go. Let's see what you want to say on this one.
Oh, my absolute favorite holiday movie is The Elf with Will Ferrell. I'm a big comedy person, so I absolutely love it. I mean, between that and Home Alone, I would still say Elf. And which one would I love to star in?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
Oh, who would I love to? Who? You know what? I am going to say RJ City. Do you guys know who RJ City is?
Yes. That would be cool.
Yeah, he's super funny. His humor. I like humor where like not a lot of people understand the humor, which makes it funnier because people will either take it as like, an insult or humor.
Yeah.
So I like his humor, and I think, and he is an actor as well. So along with a wrestler. So
now Nails is put in there that Jet would be great in Home Alone. What do you think on that?
Oh my gosh, Nails. What's up, girl?
No.
Yes, she knows, because Jet, till this day, it's summer, he still puts on Home Alone, the original Home Alone.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yes,
isn't it? It's a great movie.
Yeah, he does the whole like the aftershave thing, and then screams, and he starts running around the house, just going
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So now I think we've got a question from hang on, is this another one being put up? Wrestler, hang on. Hey Jade, who was your favorite wrestler as a kid and now? So sorry, I just got to read that. So hey, blah, 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 blah. So who is your favorite wrestler, Jet, now and as a kid?
As a kid, my favorite wrestler was Shawn Michaels. And right now would be the walking weapon, Josh Alexander.
Exactly. I knew that was. I definitely knew that was coming out. From me, then, who's your favorite female wrestler on the currently?
Oh, it's so tough. It's so tough because, and I'm thinking about the Impact roster because they have so many women who aren't the same. They're all their own different characters, and it's so tough to kind of like choose one. You know what I mean?
They all stand out.
Like if we're thinking character, like I love Su Yung. I love her as a whole because she can play all these roles so well. She can play Susan like crazy, Su Yung, and Susie. Like amazing how she can just switch it. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's that's all the same person.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same person, mate. It is. Did you not know that?
No.
Oh yeah, no. Sue Young and Susan and
Susie.
Susie.
Just how amazing she is.
She's just amazing, mate. She is. Yeah, no, she is incredible.
There were three portraits on the website, so I just assumed it was all three different people.
I write with Elsner. I trust Susan too. I trust her. Definitely, 100%. Yeah, so yeah, no, you're right. I think Sue Young is amazing. She is one of my favorite on the Impact roster right now. Also, I'm a big fan of Rachel Ellering. I have to say, she's proper growing on me at the moment. And apart from that promo we had a couple of weeks ago, which maybe was a bit long. Other than that, I think she's fantastic in the ring, and I love her personality. It comes across beautifully on screen, which is good. I actually listened to a really cool interview with her today, which was good. But yeah, no, I really love Rachel. I think she's great. So, have we got any more questions? Because I don't want to keep Jade all day, because obviously I think she's got to be a mum for the rest of the day. So, have we got any more questions? So, let's have a look. Have we got anything there, Trent, that you've seen? Okay, here we go. Another one from Mark. Do you think Josh will ultimately have a more successful singles career in Impact than he did as part of the North? Ooh.
I do. Absolutely. I think when you're in a tag team, you can only showcase so much of yourself. With singles, Josh can be Josh, and that is the person, that is the wrestler that I know, and I know that he is happy being able to really, show his efforts and just show himself as a whole. So he does, he, don't get me wrong, he likes to tag as well. For me personally and selfishly, I love to see him in singles. I like to, he's just the total package. And I hate to sound like I'm being biased, but I'm really not. This is just something that I have known, since the day that I met him. And with him being banned from coming over to the States before he got signed from Impact, and just seeing his passion on, trying to put himself out a lot more in the Ontario, Canada scene, and trying to figure out, how can he make Ontario better, and how he put goals on himself. He put goals out to have as many Ironman matches that he can in a year. So it's stuff like that. If you're not making goals for yourself, right, then I mean, what does wrestling mean to you? And then this is just something that Josh knew that he wanted to do, and so he's working very hard on himself to be able to continue to do this for as long as he wants.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that 100%. Do you know what, Jay? We've been going for an hour. It doesn't seem that long, but we have been going for an hour. We're going for the Scott D'Amore record on See You Next Tuesday. So this has been going great, and obviously we've been getting lots of interest, lots of stuff's been going on in the chat while we've been talking. It's lovely to see everyone getting involved and posing their questions and stuff. Now, this is the thing. I'm gonna say this now. We do have a couple of we are going to quickly go through tomorrow night's Impact. Would you like to stay with us and offer some insight? So I think some of the guys would like to probably hear what you might have to say on some of this, or have we run out of time?
No, we can go for a little bit longer.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
To down for his nap.
That sounds good. Okay, well let's get into tomorrow night on BTI's first match. Now, over the past sort of month or so, we've been seeing some incredible promos from Steve Macklin, who has recently come into Impact Wrestling. He's he's posed to be quite a sinister and kind of Punisher style character. And interestingly enough, the BTI match this week is Steve Macklin versus Suicide. Now, for me, I'm hoping, because the last couple of matches that we've seen has been a bit sort of kind of squashy. I'm hoping that we might get to see a little bit more from Steve in this one, because Suicide hopefully would be a bit of a tougher tougher opposition. I'm very interested to hear what Jade has to say on this. What are your thoughts on this match then, Jade?
Oof. Macklin has been pretty much dominating since he showed up. I remember his first promo, it was wild, like scary wild, like really, really, really good. Because I don't know him, right? So I don't follow, since having Jet, like I haven't followed the American Indies as much. So that was my very first time seeing him, and I felt intimidated by him. So right off the bat, I was like, oh, okay, I love this character, really good. To pair him up with Suicide. Oof.
That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, because Suicide, he's got a name for himself, and but Macklin's been just destroying everything that's been coming, in his way. So I don't know. That's a tough one.
It is a tough one, isn't it? I mean, I think Macklin's ultimately going to win because obviously he's the guy that they're pushing at the moment. But what I'm hoping is that we're going to get. Well, Suicide's going to give him a match because you can't squash Suicide. If they squash Suicide, what's the point in ever using him again? So I'm sure that we're going to start to see a little bit more from Macklin in this particular match. What about you, Joe? What do you think on this one?
Oh, I feel sorry for whoever's playing Suicide in this match because Macklin's been absolutely incredible. Going back to like Jay said, his opening promo just set the tone for how this guy is going to be played out. He is absolutely terrifying, and
He is.
I managed to catch Impact Wrestling last night, so I've managed to watch his match he had last week, and that match went quicker than his first match did. He just completely destroyed the guy he was up against, and that finishing move was awesome. I love that. I love his finishing move, the basically deadlift reverse DDT drop type thing, and it's absolutely incredible. So, if he's going up against Suicide, yes, he's going to get a bit more run for his money, and it's going to be a good way to kick off the night for Impact Wrestling. But,
yeah, definitely.
I've got. I'm hoping that if the guy playing Suicide is Caleb with the K, I hope they got a spare neck brace for him.
He's going to need a proper, like one of them proper plastic ones after this one. What about you, Steve? What do you think?
Yeah, like you say, Macklin is on fire, and I mean, the first guy that he faced got pretty much no offense, and the second guy he got that little bit in. So I'm expecting Suicide to put more of a fight, and each guy he faces is going to get tougher and tougher, and yeah, but it's
we
going
need to see more, don't we?
Well, I think it's going to build a Slammiversary, isn't it? There's either going to be this bit where it's going to be an open challenge, or someone is going to come up and say, "Look, I'll test you."
Yeah, definitely. Now, people are posing in the chat, funny enough, Jade. Steve Macklin versus Josh Alexander. Everyone's popping that one in there. And in fact, I think Josh actually mentioned something on social media about he wouldn't mind facing him as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that could be, that would be an amazing match in the future, definitely.
That'll definitely be a strong style there.
Oh, yes. Both big dudes. I think that would be... That would be a hell of a match. Okay, so we move out of BTI, and then we've got a couple of matches advertised. I don't think we had anything new. Steve, have we had anything new advertised? When I wrote this morning, we actually only had 2 matches plus the Callahan sign-in. So can you have a little look for me, buddy? See if there's anything else that have been popped up while we're on here. But the next match that we've got advertised is Brian Myers versus Jake something. Now, we all know that Jake is an absolute, animal of a man. So it's great to see that, he's getting in there. We know that Brian Myers is strong. I'm loving the Brian Myers kind of professional, most professional wrestler gimmick that we've got going on at the moment, training up Sam Beale, basically to be Brian Myers, which is interesting. I mean, we're seeing Sam come out now and sort of kind of doing all this, aren't we? And sort of kind of just doing everything pretty much the same as Brian, really. So it's interesting to see where that's going to go. And of course, we've had a few things going on with Jake and obviously Sam last week with Brian getting involved. And, what do we think is going to happen here? Do we think that Jake is going to absolutely destroy Brian. What do you think on this one, Steve?
For me, all I can see is I can be at see it being some kind of DQ, because I don't see a win over Myers doing anything for Jake, because this close to Slammiversary, I don't see the feud being over.
No, I think it's obviously something that they're possibly building to.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And sorry, I don't see a lose for Jake doing anything. Sorry.
For me, I see this. I think it's going to be a shenanigans ending. But
Yeah.
we'll have to see. Jade, what do you think on this one?
Can I just hope that Jake destroys Brian Myers?
That sounds good to
I'll tell
me.
you why. Okay, Jake, something is like super underrated. I met him back in 2015. He was doing a show regularly over here in Toronto. And a sweet guy, and I hope that doesn't ruin his image, but absolute sweet guy, but a complete machine in the ring. So I saw it when I first met him then, and it just baffles me how it's now 2021, and I'm just so glad that he's able to, really shine the way that he can, or the way that he's allowed to. I don't know if that's a bad word to say, but I'm glad he's out there, and just showcasing just the type of talent that he is. So I'm just gonna hope. I'm gonna hope that he gets the win on this one.
Okay, that sounds good to me. What about you, Joe? What about your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Jake Something's probably going to get the win, end up with a beatdown between Myers and Sam Beal, or it's going to be shenanigans with Sam Beal. It's going to go one or the other, and I'm 50-50 on that. But this is going to build up to something bigger at Slammiversary. It's going to be Jake Something and Brian Myers at Slammiversary. Probably on the pre-show or to kick off the night. That's where it's going to end for me. But I'm rooting for Jake Something to just destroy Brian Myers, and then Brian Myers to say, "Oh, this is still not done properly. You didn't do it properly. You weren't professional still." And while he's doing all that, Sam Beal goes up behind him and gives him a low blow or something, and then something continues on from there, because that'll just carry the story forward. Or we'll just get Sam Beal distracting the referee or pulling Myers out the ring or something like that.
Yeah. I think there's loads of ways it can go. That's for sure. And I think it will be a good match. I mean, you've got Brian Myers, who clearly is a very good wrestler, and we've got Jake Something, who is, he is an amazing up-and-coming talent that we've been seeing. I mean, we watch a lot of AAW stuff, so we know how good Jake is on the indie scene as well. So I hope that we're starting to see the start of a push for Jake. Now, we've got Susan and Kimberly versus Rosemary and Havoc coming up. Now, I'm definitely interested in what Jade's got to say on this one, being obviously a knockouts tag team match. Personally, I think we're going to see Rosemary and Havoc win this one, because I'm seeing there as a push here for them to obviously face the tag champions at Slammiversary. However, are we going to see maybe the start of Susan changing back to Sue Young at this point? What are your thoughts, Jade? What are your thoughts?
First off, guys, I think this is going to be my last one, because Jet is starting to call for me. But
no, that's good.
This one is my last one because I'm excited for this match tomorrow. I am going to go with Havoc and Rosemary. Havoc, like I mentioned before, is another one of my favorites. The way that she moves for, a big girl, she moves fast and beautifully and smooth. So talented in the ring. I think Susan and Kimberly, they're going to continue to crumble and fall apart. And I am hoping to see Sue Young. I hope.
Definitely. We are definitely hoping for that. Okay, so thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Join us.
Thank
I
you.
hope maybe we could do it again in the future. Please remind us where we can listen to See You Next Tuesday. That would be great. And Steve, if you could pop the links, or Trent, if you could pop the links to Jade's YouTube channel, that would be great. And hopefully, come on, guys. Come on, TNI Tribe. Don't let us down. Let's see a spike in those subs for Jade, for Jade's channel today. Where can we find you, Jade?
You can find me at Jade Chung 11 on my Twitter and Instagram. And for my podcast, See You Next Tuesday, you can catch it on anchor.fm/Jade Chung and youtube.com/Jade Chung 11. Bison, Steve, and Joe, thank you so much for having me. And a shout out again to Trent. Can't forget your producer. So guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys having me on today.
No worries. Thank you.
you.
Don't forget, guys, head over there, press the sub, tickle the bell, because you'll not regret it. Jade's channel is fantastic. All right. Thank you, Jade. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
How about that, guys? Hey, Jade Chung, that was fantastic. You know, originally she was only supposed to be with us for about 20-25 minutes, but she decided to stay a bit longer, which was fantastic. We've had loads of really cool questions come in from the chat today as well, which was absolutely superb. So thank you ever so much for Jade to join us this week. I think this sort of leads, you know, like I said, don't forget, get over to See You Next Tuesday, go to Jade Chung 11 on YouTube. Make sure that you hit that sub. I'd love to see a spike in her subs today because she's been on our show. That'd be fantastic. And of course, don't forget to tickle the bell. Never miss a listen. Okay. Yeah. So moving on quickly, because I don't want to miss for all the UK fans. You know, we've got the England game later, so we need to. We can't miss that. Can we? Oh, we can't miss that. Right.
Joe
okay.
Very bored.
So I don't think we've got any more matches, have we, Steve? That was it. There's only the two matches. I'm sure we'll have a couple of ones. It just
the knockouts match is the only other one, and then the main event contract signing. Yeah.
So I see Rosemary and Havoc probably most likely getting the win in this match too, and Su Yung is going to suck. Is going to see the start to crumble into the storyline this week or next week. You're going to have Diana Peraza out in the ring, like, you know, no one's beating me. Kimberly's out here trying to hold someone back, and Su Young's just going to run a rampage. That's all something I'm hoping to see. But I don't see it going to like a triple threat tag team match at Slammiversary. It wouldn't do Havoc and Rosemary any favors, or I wouldn't want. No disrespect to Rachel Ellering or Jordan Grace, but I don't want to see them suddenly jump back into the mix already as well.
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think. Yeah, no, I think we're definitely moving forward with regards to Rosemary and Havoc. What is interesting though is that, you know, they're not calling the Rosemary and Havoc team Decay. I've noticed that it is Rosemary and Havoc, so she's not necessarily joined Decay at the moment. She's just
they are for now.
They're just teaming together. So I was interested to see where this goes.
If give it time, they might.
You never know. It's interesting to see how this one develops. Whether they end up sort of kind of going under the Decay banner rather than just Rosemary. If they become champions, who knows? Maybe it'd be like, see, I told you. That's where it should have gone. But
I mean, I agree too. Like, I can see Rosemary and Havoc winning this, and then I kind of see after the lose, Su Yung Susan getting like a bit like agitated, and
she does
processing the Su Yung turn, and then that being the split that breaks Susan and Kimberly apart.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got the Kenny Omega versus Sami Callihan contract signing. I guess we're going to have some serious shenanigans during this. I mean, you never have a simple contract signing, do we? Ever?
No, not in pro wrestling.
So I'm sure we're gonna get some shenanigans here. I'm sure Moose is gonna maybe get involved. We'll have Don Callis, the Good Brothers, shadowing somewhere, and I don't know, maybe Chris Sabre to come running out.
Tommy Jr. will be in Sammy's corner. Don Callis will be in Omega's corner. So Jr. will give one of his dreamerisms. Don Callis will give his whatever the hell Don Callis does, his godlike speeches, and then there's going to be a big fight at the end. Maybe a power driver, hopefully.
Yeah. I'm really going to be watching Don in this one, because given the fact that he's not an EVP now, Callahan can do whatever he wants to him.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's going to be interesting to watch Don in this one, because, like you say, he can be touched now.
Oh yeah, imagine if Sammy gets the baseball bat and takes it to Don Callis.
That would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
Split Callus Open. That's what I say. Let's see the claret.
going.
Let's see the claret. That's what we want to see.
Well, Callahan did it before, didn't he?
Exactly. He's done it. Yeah, he did. He did it on an indie promotion, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
About 3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Don wanted him fired, and I think it was Demore and Eddie that said no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. So there's so much that can go here. There's so much that we can, where it can go, and I'm sure that we're going to get some interesting shenanigans. And one thing's for sure, we're certainly going to start seeing more. We're going to start seeing the matches now be sort of kind of like put together. We're certainly going to see at least 3 or 4 matches put together tomorrow, I would imagine, on Impact, and then we may see a couple turn up on social media, I'm sure, in the coming week. It's going to be exciting, really, really exciting. I know, from my end, I'm excited to see exactly where we're going to go tomorrow night. I will be up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get on the old Impact Plus app. I will be watching, and I'm very excited to see where this one goes. But sadly, boys, we are coming towards the end of our show. It's been fantastic today. We've had Jade on the show. We've had some great questions coming in from the chat. It's been really good. Please don't forget to head over to the TNI Patreon. Also, make sure you watch tomorrow night's TNI Flagship Impact live review. I believe there's a watch along as well. But the review is directly after the show is aired on Twitch and YouTube. So make sure that you get in front. You get involved in that. I think that's going to be, it's going to be a great show. So make sure you don't miss it. And of course, the TNI preview is always good fun. So make sure you get involved in that as well. And the watch along. I believe you get involved in the watch along as well, don't you, Joe, on occasion?
Yes. Jump into the watch along, guys, and you'll laugh to your heart's content.
It's good fun. It's good fun. I think you go in there as well, Steve, don't you?
Yeah, I do occasionally. Yeah, and like you say, if Impact ain't good enough fun, then the guys are just as much entertainment.
Exactly. It's all happening in the TNI watch-alongs, and like I said, make sure that you don't miss the flagship show tomorrow night live straight after the show. If you're in the UK and you're not going to stay up that late, you will also get to it's also available straight after to watch on as soon as it's aired. All TNI shows are also available for all you listen on the go fans as audio only via SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, and wherever you listen to your favorite shows. Just a quick plug there. Where can we find you on the socials, Joe, if you want to follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Joe-ker empty space, or you can jump onto Facebook, look for #empty_space, #the void, or if you fancy to lighten your world a bit, look for #daily giggle, but keep that mind open with an open perspective, and you might keep your sanity. Or you can also find me on WrestleBuddy if you go on to look for the Impact Wrestling related articles. Well, I'm currently struggling with Microsoft Block for my one at the moment.
Oh yeah, you'll get there, buddy. You'll get there. How about you, Steve? Where can we find you, bud?
You can find me over on Twitter at SimplySteve311, where I put everything Impact Wrestling related. Or like Joe, you can find me over at WrestleBuddy on the Impact Wrestling banner, where I put everything Impact Wrestling related, every article. So yeah, if you fancy an Impact Wrestling read, then go over there and click one.
Fantastic. And if you're interested in following myself, the Bison, you can find me on Twitter at LordBison45. And, where I pretty much do everything wrestling related on there. So please feel free to add me. Doing quite well on there at the moment. So I'm heading to 1,250. So it'd be good to hit that in the next week or so. That'd be fantastic.
That's a lot of Bison licks, people.
Mate, that's a lot of licks. Everyone that follows me gets a Bison lick, so you better make sure you get involved in that. Can you do a baka? Steve, can you do it? What about you, Joe? You can get in that? No. Well, anyway, this has been Impacted Live, and we hope you've enjoyed spending the time with us today, and our guest Jade Chung in the chat as much as we've enjoyed having you with us as well. Please take the time to help us out moving up the rankings on YouTube by giving us a thumbs up. And if you're new to us and you like what you've seen, then click subscribe. And don't forget to give us the bell a little tickle to never miss a listen of TNI-UK and, of course, the US teams each and every week. Again, thank you again to Jade for joining us. Also, make sure you head over to her YouTube channel, subscribe, and again, give her a bell a tickle, which she quite liked. So make sure you give her a bell a tickle to never miss any of her great content as well. With all that said, I've been Bison. They have been Simply Steve and the Joker. And this has been episode 38 of Impacted. Take care, everyone.
See you later.
We're Bison! We